Hi guys, welcome back to We Should Talk, a pop culture interview series from In the Know. I'm your host, Gibson Johns, and this week on the podcast we have the Demilio family. Charli, Dixie, and their parents Mark and Heidi, all of whom co-star on the Demilio Show on Hulu streaming now. You know, I'm not really big into the TikTok world. I'm not native to that sort of generation, and you know, I don't know that much about Charli and Dixie and their family, but I was really glad to get some time with them because I always think it's worthwhile to really try to get to understand, you know, people who have wield such huge power in culture. And right now, there are very few people that have as much influence on social media, on pop culture, on culture in general, as Charli and Dixie do. And I really, you know, I just love how honest and candid they're being, both in general, but also on this show. I think the show really does peel back a curtain on sort of what goes on behind social media fame. And, you know, they were completely thrown into this whole world and this entertainment industrial complex. And it's tough, and you get all this unsolicited feedback. And I think we're going to see the effects of that from them in this show. And, again, I just respect their candor. And I think, you know, in this interview, they were engaging and they had amazing answers to things. And one of my favorite answers is when, you know, I asked them about constantly being compared to the Kardashian family, because they're both famous families who have reality docu-style shows. They are huge on social media. They have huge influence on culture. And Charli had a really awesome answer to that. So keep listening for that, because I think her perspective on that tells me a lot about sort of how they're looking to the future and their sort of understanding about where they stand in culture. Because it's not either or. They can both exist in this space. So keep listening for my interview with the Demilio family. Stream the Demilio Show on Hulu now. And please rate, review, and subscribe to We Should Talk on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. So we're here with Mark, Heidi, Dixie, and Charli D'Amelio, stars of Hulu's newest show, The Demilio Show. That has a nice ring to it, doesn't it? I mean, you probably don't get tired of hearing people say that.
It's weird to hear people say it, but it's fun.
Yeah, I mean, and we're recording this like 7 hours before the show hits Hulu. I mean, it's tomorrow tonight at midnight. Are there any nerves on this call about it finally hitting the public? Or are we feeling good about it?
I think we're all pretty excited, but we don't know what to expect. People are like, your lives are going to change. It's going to be so crazy. I'm like, what? What are you talking about? No, this is just, I don't know. I don't know what to expect at all. Yeah. No expectation, but just a little nervous, but mostly excited.
Well, I'm curious for you guys, because this is a new venture for you. It's a docu-style reality show, and this is kind of the longest form, kind of start to finish, that people will have seen you know, like start to finish. And I'm curious why this format felt like the right next step for you guys as a family. Like what about this style of show felt like, all right, we should do this because XYZ?
I think at the end of the day, it really came down to the fact that a lot of people were telling our story for us with the facts that they think are true, and telling the story and putting us out there to be people that they think we are. And I think we wanted to be in the driver's seat and tell the story that is true and that is facts and that is who we are. And I feel like this is the best way that we can do it, is just being honest and showing us figuring out how we're doing this. Like, this is not normal, and there's not a rule book, and we're just kind of figuring it out as a family all together. And I feel like that's something only we can tell.
Mm-hmm. And was that something that the whole family was on board with right away? Like, was everyone like down for it, or were there any reservations from anybody? Heidi's raising her hand. What were you sort of apprehensive about?
I just felt like that was the last bit of our own life inside of our house that we had. We controlled when the phones were on and recording our cameras or anything. And, you know, I had this idea of how I thought reality or docu-series were shot and cameras rolling 24/7 was what I had. And I didn't like that idea, but it was actually a really great experience. The Hulu, the crew, everybody, the producers were so respectful of our house and our life and our emotions and everything. So I was, once I realized that there was we felt like we could trust them as they came into our home, I was on board and I was excited.
Totally. That makes complete sense. And I'm also curious if like Charli, you said that other people were telling your story for you. And I feel like the other sort of misconception I feel like was probably out there was like, because you guys have these huge platforms on social media, that you were able to share everything, or that you were able to express everything. But at the end of the day, social media is still consumed in bite-sized pieces and snippets. And it's not as full picture, I think, as people like take it for. And so I'm curious for you guys, if like just the fact that you just had more time to open up on a show like this, did that figure into your decision making at all?
100%. I think we mostly make short form content. When you think about it, a TikTok at most just started can be 3 minutes long.
Right.
And a YouTube video, usually like 8-10 minutes long. You can only say so much in that amount of time. And I feel like we want to share. There's 4 of us, first of all, and we all have different things that we want to share and we want to talk about. And I feel like this is just the best and the easiest way to understand is through watching this.
Totally. And I feel like, whenever I have seen or read an interview of famous siblings or famous sisters, what they always say is that like, they talk about how special it is that they've gotten to navigate the entertainment industry, whatever they're doing, whether it's Venus and Serena, the Kardashians, Nicki and Paris, like any of them all say the same thing, which is like, I've had this person to do all this with. It's incredibly difficult. And there's only one other person that understands, and it's my sister. And like, I feel like, we take it for granted because there are so many, famous siblings and what have you. But I wonder if Charli and Dixie, if you guys could speak a little bit to that, because it's such a unique thing and it's impossible for anybody else to really understand, I feel like.
I think not only just having your sister, but also your whole family all understand it. Even though it might be in different ways, we can all have an understanding of what it's like to have people say horrible things about you or have people lie about you. And we can help each other understand and get through that. And you really get to see that throughout the docuseries, which is another reason why it's so important, because you get to see how we hold each other up at some of the toughest parts.
Another huge aspect of this show is mental health. And you guys are so open. And I think we're going to learn a lot about you guys and from that aspect. And I think it's really brave of you guys to open up. And I think that a lot of people, especially young people, whether they have 100,000 followers, 1,000 followers, or 100 followers, they'll relate to some of this, because I think anybody with a social media account is going to relate to some sort of mental health struggle that's fueled by social media, because we're all putting ourselves out there in different ways. And so I'm curious, when you were deciding about opening up about kind of these more serious issues, was that top of mind for you guys at all, in terms of like, okay, maybe we can help some people, maybe people can relate to these things that we're going through?
I mean, that was the whole reason we did it. If we can help at least one person, and even though it's such a hard thing to be going through, and especially being filmed, if I can help one person with their struggles or how to get through something, then I did it for a reason.
And I'm also curious for you guys, who would you ultimately want to be watching this show? Like, would you rather, do you think it's for like the diehard fans of you guys that are loyal followers and just want to get to know you guys on a deeper level? Or are you thinking about the people that maybe aren't that familiar with you and you just want to be sort of then to be introduced to you through this show? Like, I'm curious, or probably both, but what were you guys sort of thinking about in terms of who is actually watching this on Hulu?
Obviously, first, people that we want to see this and to get to see more of us is the people that truly love us and the people that truly support us. But at the end of the day, even those people that are like, well, why do the Demilios have a docuseries? They're so boring. They're going to watch it. Even if they're just watching it to make fun of us, they're still going to watch it. And that's fine. I mean,
Hey, those viewer numbers will go up regardless. So
some of my favorite feedback I get is, you know what? I don't really like her that much, but she has a point. And it's acknowledging you don't have to be the biggest fan of me, but at least listen to what we're saying.
Mm.
And if you're not going to, and being closed-minded is something that you're comfortable with, you can't change anyone like that.
Mm.
And we all understand that.
When did you, I mean, that's such a great mentality to have. It's just like actually understanding that you're never going to please everybody, you know, and there's whether you say the most benign thing, like the uncontroversial thing, somebody's going to take issue with it. When did you guys like figure that out? Because that's a really hard lesson to learn. Like, I think that's impressive.
I mean, I think we're still learning it. And I think throughout the docuseries, you really get to see the journey of learning that from all of us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, that's an important lesson. You know, and you know, in the lead up to the show, there's been a lot of anticipation for it. And, you know, the trailer got a lot of attention. And in that conversation, I saw a lot of comparisons to Keeping Up with Kardashians, and which is just another famous family that has put themselves out there. And I think because the show just ended, that's sort of top of mind for people. What do you make of those comparisons, just in terms of, you know, because that family set a standard for sharing their lives on a show like this. But I also think that your show has a totally different vibe than theirs. But I'm curious what you guys think about any of those comparisons.
Well, I think, of course, they're going to compare us. We're both two families that are experiencing a lot of eyes on us. So it's not uncommon for people to put those two together. I think the only really way that you can't like compare us is their show didn't end for us to start ours, you know?
Right.
Like at the end of the day, we're both very strong family units that are entrepreneurs, that are trying new things, that are working hard to better their businesses and I believe better themselves. And we're all doing that in the similar spaces, but so differently. And I feel like that's not a bad thing. And that makes us, both of our families, so unique. And they've obviously been able to do amazing things, whether it's businesses or modeling or anything. And I feel like we have our time to do amazing things as well. So we're not head to head. That's never, ever what we want to be with anyone. We're obviously our own people. There's similarities and differences with everything. So we understand that. And I hope other people watch it with an open mind and realize that we're doing this to share our story, no matter how you say it, you know?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And for all of you, you know, if you think about the filming experience and, you know, the show is hitting Hulu, and do you feel like this was do you guys want to do this again? Is this something that you want to do more? Do you want to do more seasons of this show? Or do you feel like you said what you said what you need to say on these episodes? Or is this something you want to keep doing for years to come?
I feel like we're waiting. I'm waiting to kind of see what happens.
Right.
I want to do another season. I feel like they're missing things.
Yeah, I feel like they're if they could be filming all of this stuff,
or even like there's so many things coming up that they're not going to be filming for, and it's
makes me sad.
Yeah.
I miss them.
It seems like you guys want to continue to share in this way, so you clearly got something from it. You know, that's what the vibe I'm getting from you guys.
Definitely.
Yeah. And you know, for Mark and Heidi, what, you know, I feel like you probably have imparted so many amazing lessons to your daughters, but I also feel like you've probably learned a lot from them in this whole experience of the past couple of years. What have you learned from your daughters? You know, when you think back to just your family's breakout fame.
I learn from them all the time, and they are so. A couple of things. When we get down about different things, whether it's hate or just, you know, we're doing something we've never done before. And so with that becomes, you know, insecurities and frustrations, and to hear your kids trying to build you up and give you support with words that you've given them in the past, I mean, that's a beautiful thing. And I'm like, okay, I get it. You're right. And so I learned from them in that way. And then just they're, you know, they really are good at what they do. And I'm constantly, Charli still lives here with us, and I'll go down to her room and I'm like, hey, what is this? And, ask her questions, and she's good. She'll take the time and like help me learn whatever it is.
I love it. Yeah.
So I'm constantly learning from both of them.
I love it. And I think that this is something that we're going to see on the show, but, you guys were really thrown into this whole experience of just entertainment and this whole thing. And I think, you're going to address it, but can you just talk a little bit about how you guys have been able to carve out time that's like just personal and just for like to I don't know, to that when you're not thinking about, content or the show or what people or what the public's thinking, how have you been able to sort of like cordon off some of your life that's not for the public, that's just for you guys?
I think a balance with everything is important. I think a balance with keeping our lives for ourselves at the end of the day. The cameras are not on us 24/7. Even when we were filming, they were not on us 24/7, and we were able to do things for ourselves. And I think that's an extremely important thing for anyone, no matter what you're doing. You always need to keep parts of it to yourself. I mean, there's parts of it I keep to myself from everyone. And I feel like that's how you function as a normal human being. And if every single part of my life was out there on the internet, I would be living life for that instead of for myself.
Mm-hmm. And when you guys are sort of thinking about the future, and I think we also see on the show how much you guys plan in advance and have to plan in advance and have to think about that. For Dixie, first for you, I love the song F Boy. I'm not going to say the full title, but I love it. I've been listening to it a lot recently. For your music career specifically, what are your sort of hopes for the next 12 months or a couple years?
I hope to just keep growing as a singer, as a writer, and I hope to perform very soon. And I just love what I'm doing, and I just want to keep doing it.
Mm-hmm. Where would you want to perform? What's like your dream scenario for a performance?
I don't know. I feel like, I don't know. I really have no idea. I'm happy with anything right now. Yeah. I just can't wait for my first performance.
Mm-hmm. I think a lot of people are waiting for that. So I think you'll kill it. And then Charli, for you, like, when you think about your next year, what do you envision for yourself? What do you hope to achieve that you can say? Because I'm sure there's a lot of things that are being worked on that we can't discuss here, but
I hope I find my thing, whether it's dance or acting or anything, or even if it's business, anything.
Absolutely.
I'm happy with anything as long as it makes me happy. But I feel like over this next year is really going to be my time to kind of figure out what exactly that is.
Love it. Well, I can't wait to see what you guys figure out and what you guys have up your sleeves. I'm sure it's going to be amazing. And I'm really excited for everyone to watch the show, because I think they're going to learn a lot about your family. And I think you're going to teach a lot of people some important things. So thanks for taking the time to talk. And also thanks for being so open with everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah. It was so nice to meet you.
Yeah, you too. Bye, guys. Thank you so much for listening. For more celebrity interviews, subscribe to We Should Talk on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. If you like what you heard, please rate and review us, as any show of support you can give us would be greatly appreciated. You can follow me at Gibsonoma on Twitter and Instagram, and you can follow In The Know at In The Know on Twitter and at Watch In The Know on Instagram. We'll talk to you next time.